Hello, welcome to Life Talk for August the 20th, 2019. I'm Mark Crutcher, and I'm joined here by the usual suspects. One of them is back from last week after a week of riotous living. The prodigal daughter has returned.
I'm here. Good to be back.
Renee is back with us, and of course, Sheila, we can't run her off, albeit we have made good efforts to do so, but she's still here. And of course, we're joined, as always, by our buddy, our mascot, Ernie, the frilled-necked Republican. And he's back on the set and doing his part.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got some interesting stories to talk about this week. Sheila, you wanted to talk about the Planned Parenthood situation of withdrawing from the Title X funding.
Okay, so Trump, the federal appeals court approved a Trump administration rule that bars healthcare providers who receive federal funds from performing abortions or discussing abortions.
Or referring for
Referring abortions. Well, Planned Parenthood chose to pull out of the family planning program because, of course, they say abortion's only 3% of their business,
right.
But yet they chose to pull out of the program. But Planned Parenthood president Alexis McGill Johnson told reporters that the Trump administration has forced Planned Parenthood grannies out of Title X funding. She said, "We will not be bullied out of providing abortion information to our parents."
Well, first off, they're not prevented from providing abortion information, only referrals.
Right. Right.
Yep.
Well, and this isn't going to be the end of the Medicare funding to Planned Parenthood either, because there was, in 2017 and 18, they got $500 million from the government through Medicaid.
This only affects 60 million.
Yeah, that's it.
But here's the thing that Sheila kind of touched on. These people come out here and tell this bald-faced lie, they've been telling it for several years now, that abortion's only 3% of their business.
Right.
It's a complete bald-faced lie.
Well, yeah, and I'm sorry but Maine is they only take Title X funding in Maine, and they said about 18 clinics are going to have to shut down now because of it.
Well,
3% of their business?
3%. People.
well, and plus, if 3% truly of abortion was their business, only 3%, then why would they choose to pull out of this funding anyway?
They wouldn't.
Exactly. Right. Abortion is what Planned Parenthood is, and they're not forced. They're choosing because they put abortion over everything else.
They're sitting here out here in the public saying women are going to die, women are going to be denied health care, women are going to be denied. Okay, wait a minute. What you're telling me is you have a choice between participating in the deaths of these women or giving up abortion, and you've decided to participate in the death of these women.
Yeah, if it really is, if
they're lying through their teeth.
Yeah,
They've
they are.
always been lying, and this is just one more example of it.
if they really did care about women's health and health care, they would choose to suck it up and say, it's only 3% of our business. We can still help women, though.
Right.
Well, they're not doing that. They're putting abortion over everything
Abortion
else.
is all that matters to these people. They just had a president they got rid of
Right.
because she was not pro-abortion. She's a radical, rabid, foaming at the mouth pro-abort, and she wasn't pro-abortion enough for them.
Yeah.
So they threw her out.
Hopefully more will come out on that with her, and that she'll expose more of what goes on inside that place.
I doubt it. She's pretty much a team player. I mean, she does love her baby killing.
Yeah.
But, the Planned Parenthood lies are being exposed one after the other. I mean, it just...
But what's so irritating is that there are still people out there who believe their lives, even after all this and after them being exposed.
Well, of course, the media helps out on this, too. I've got here a copy of the New York Times article where they wrote about Planned Parenthood's withdrawal. It sounds like a press release that was written by Planned Parenthood.
Yeah,
and I'm going to guarantee you the way this thing was written, this woman, Pam Bullock, at New York Times wrote this article. I guarantee you 1,000% she'd lie about it and deny it, but she sat down with Planned Parenthood to write this article. This sounds like a Planned Parenthood press release, and it's obscene.
Yes,
anyway.
it is.
Go ahead. You guys had some other
Yeah.
things you wanted to get to.
And talking about lies, so the whole babies being born alive after botched abortions things has been going on for months. We've known about it though
For years.
for years. For instance, our Babies Born Alive video that we have on our YouTube page, our Life Dynamics YouTube page.
Right.
We have 3 abortion clinic workers who say that babies are born alive daily
At their clinic alone.
at their clinic alone.
Right.
So we don't know the extent of this,
Right.
happening across the country. Well, a new report, a new news article from Fox News says that state records reveal extent of botched abortions. And they say at least 40 babies were born alive after botched abortions across 3 states since 2016.
3 fairly low population states.
Right.
Not like California and New York. The point of this is, if you extrapolate the numbers out, of course, this is nothing new to us.
No.
We've known this for years. We've talked about it for years. But if you just extrapolate the numbers out, just those 40 in those 3 states, for the whole United States, then what's clear is that there are more babies born alive outside the womb
Right.
and then murdered
Right.
than people who are shot in these random shootings like in El Paso.
Yeah, and I
So,
mean,
but wait a minute. So why isn't the media going berserk over that like they do these shootings? There's more of these babies born alive outside the womb, butchered for no reason whatsoever, than people who are shot in these random shootings, and yet they're going nuts over the shooting.
well, and those 40 babies that they talked about were only from 3 states since 2016.
Right.
So that is a low number. Just think about how many it actually is. And the article says that 3 other states have laws requiring data on infants born after botched abortions, but they haven't been compiling the information.
Right.
They're not going to report.
And most of them aren't required to anyway.
No.
Right.
You know, the largest, 20% of all the abortions in America happen in California. California does not report morbidity and mortality statistics to the CDC, and they're not required
Yeah,
to.
the CDC began requesting the information, but there's no punishment for violations of not providing the information.
It's-
Yeah, that's just
So
wrong.
there is no doubt that the number of children butchered outside the womb in these abortion clinics,
Right.
this is cold-blooded murder. Of course, we know that even when they're butchered inside the womb, it's cold-blooded murder. But even by our abortion standards, pro-abortion standards in this country, these are cold-blooded,
Yeah.
premeditated, first-degree capital murders.
Absolutely.
And that more of these babies are dying that way
Yep.
than all these shootings. But we're going to have gun control laws. We're going to have congressional hearings. We're going to go on national television. We're going to do all this stuff to stop these shootings, and we
Right.
should. But we're going to ignore this. The
Yeah, and
media
it's
is gonna
not
ignore
considered
this.
murder.
And for the media that likes to ignore this, these babies that were born alive are left in closets to die. They're have instruments thrust into the back of their necks to kill them after they've been born. It's
But they die in comfort, is
Yeah.
what they say.
yeah.
This is
Having
comfort.
a blunt instrument shoved into the back of your neck
Well,
is
in
comfort.
our interview there, these girls talk about them pushing their thumbs through the thorax, pushing cannulas or other medical instruments in the soft spot of the baby's head to kill them, or
Yeah.
twisting the heads off of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet, the godless degenerates in the media
Right.
completely ignore this.
Yeah.
Or they say that it doesn't happen. Well, here's state records that prove it's happened, and then we have 3 abortion clinic workers who said that it happened.
And in the Gosnell situation, it was
Yeah.
found in a courtroom that it was happening. Nobody cares.
And for those that don't know, the interviews at YouTube, I put in abortion employees. I know that there's a different title, but
Abortion clinic
yeah.
employees, babies born alive
yeah.
daily.
Yeah.
You can go on our YouTube channel, just go to Life Dynamics YouTube channel, and you can find it right there.
Yeah.
And the evidence is overwhelming. You cannot deny it. You cannot deny that this is happening.
Right.
And the abortion lobby lies about it, and the media covers up for them.
Yes.
And that's the bottom
And for abortion advocates that do deny and say, oh, it isn't happening, they're just lying to themselves to try to justify, to make themselves feel better.
Better, yeah.
They're not lying to themselves, Sheila. They know it. They're lying to everybody else.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They know the
go ahead.
truth.
You had some stuff that you
I
wanted to
do,
get
yeah.
to.
Yeah, Sarah here in the office had emailed me a thing, the Team Pro-Lifer from Instagram. And this is really important because there are so many young people and older people that are afraid to voice their opinion, to share the gospel, and to just be openly pro-life.
Defend the babies.
Defend the babies. And
Right.
so this is really, really neat that I'd just like to read real quick. And like I said, it is from the Team Pro-Lifer. I'm not sure who that is, but we follow her. So just an open mind. I had to bring myself to listen without arguing or laughing. So this girl, she had shared a pro-life presentation in school. And this other girl that is that's writing this had to keep an open mind. And she said that she had a lot of questions, such as, but it's not my life, my baby, so I feel like it's not my choice. Or what about rape? She explained everything. She was humble and kind, and I was too. I didn't change my mind right then and there, but actually, it did open my eyes. So at the end of the conversation, I told her, I'm still pro-choice, but thank you for being kind. And we shook hands, and she said, thank you for listening. It's refreshing for someone in the opposite side to want to listen. It wasn't until I did my own research, then I was like 80% pro-life. I wasn't fully 100% pro-life until my friend had her abortion. She was 13 weeks pregnant and asked me to drive her. She told me that after the procedure was done, she stood up and saw blood all over the floor. A few days later, her breast started leaking out all of the milk. It was then I realized there is nothing safe, normal, or natural about abortion. Not only that, but I had a dream about her and her baby. She was basically throwing him or her into the garbage, and I told her, no, I'll keep it. That dream is something I think about a lot. I told my friends that if they get pregnant to not tell me if they plan on getting an abortion. I don't want to help them in any way, shape, or form if they are going to do something that they know I'm against, because I will try to talk them out of it, no doubt about that. My friend's baby was supposed to be born next month, and I'm honestly super heartbroken. And there was just dialogue, talking
and forth,
about,
yeah.
talking about this, and how important it is to be open-minded and to listen to what others have to say. It will change your heart and your mind. Like, this is a baby,
Right.
that's being killed here.
Well, what's important is that you hear the common argument, I would never have an abortion, but it's not my place to tell others what to do. Or, I don't support abortion, but it should still be legal.
Right.
Well, people that take that position don't truly know what abortion is. You can't be neutral on the issue.
Well, to sit here and say, I wouldn't kill my baby, then you're admitting that it's killing, and you're
Yeah.
admitting that it's a baby. But then what they're saying is, I wouldn't kill my baby, but if somebody else wants to kill their baby, that's up to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, we're supposed to care about each other,
Right.
our fellow human beings.
Yes.
To sit here and say, I wouldn't kill my baby, but if you want to kill your baby, that's okay with me. That means my baby's better than your baby.
Yeah.
Well, and also, like, in her instance, she didn't know what abortion was. And so it's important that even though not everyone's going to change their mind, that we get that information out there, that we teach people what abortion truly is.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, attitudes like that are going to continue, and Planned Parenthood lies are going to be able to win them over.
Well, and you and I had a conversation the other day, and you had said that there is no unimportant
Right.
conversation about abortion. Even if somebody knows what they're talking about, it's always best to go into conversations thinking that they don't know anything, and just to educate them. And I've got 2 kids that are seniors in high school this year, and they are both super pro-life, and I just hope and pray that they share what their knowledge and what
Oh, I
they
think
know
they
with
do.
their friends. I think that they do, but I'm not there with them,
Right.
all
But
day, every day.
the reason I said that about there not being any unimportant conversations is because you may be talking to someone who's not pregnant. You may be talking to a guy who's not pregnant. And there's no immediacy in the conversation. You don't think, well, at least a baby's life is not depending on whether I win this argument or
Right.
not, or whether I make this pro-life point or not. But you never know when that person's going to be talking to somebody who is pregnant and thinking about abortion.
Right.
And I had a personal experience with this in my life, and I've talked about it here on the show a few times over the years. And so you can have a conversation with somebody, and it maybe at that moment, it's not important.
Right.
But later on.
But what if it may happen that a year later or 10 years later, you're not even around, you never know about it, but they're suddenly confronted with a woman who is pregnant and thinking about an abortion. Then the argument that you made to them 10 years earlier may be the deciding factor in whether that baby lives or dies.
Yeah,
And so,
that's true.
so even though thousands of babies are still being killed on a daily basis, it's important that pro-lifers do not give up. No matter what the situation, we have to continue.
Especially considering the fact that we're winning.
Yeah, I mean, because the number of abortions have been reduced and more people are becoming pro-life. But the important thing is that we keep on going and that we keep on letting people know what abortion truly is.
Yep.
Yep.
That's right. That's what we have to do. I'll tell you what, let's take a moment out here for robots. And when we come back, you've got a project you want to talk about that I encountered a few weeks ago at a speech I gave.
Yes.
And then I've got a thing I want to go over here and make sure people understand what's going on behind the scenes with an issue that's getting a lot of attention right now in the press, and what we need to know might be going on behind the scenes. But anyway, let's take a moment for robots, and we'll come back with those two stories.
In 1973, the U.S. Supreme Court legalized abortion nationwide. The decision is called Roe versus Wade, and those who defend it are known as robots. This is how they think.
I am pro-life, but I would have no problem voting for a pro-choice candidate since most political offices have nothing to do with abortion.
First off, you never know when an elected official is going to be dragged into the abortion debate. But even if a political office is completely unrelated to the abortion issue, the abortion views of someone seeking that office are still important. After all, almost every decision a politician will make has some moral component to it. When they vote to spend money the country doesn't have and can't pay back, that's not just a financial decision, it's also a moral one. When they decide to send soldiers into a war, that is not just a military decision, it's also a moral decision. And that same dynamic applies in this case. A politician's position on legalized abortion is an indicator of that candidate's ability to make moral decisions. And those who support legalized abortion are morally unfit to serve in any public office. Also, the fact that most political offices have nothing to do with abortion is irrelevant. Remember, when a politician runs for political office, they usually see it as a stepping stone to a higher office. That means if they get elected to a small town city council, they may be one day running for the United States Senate. And every rung they climb up that political ladder, the harder it gets to take them out. The bottom line is, anyone who votes pro-choice is pro-choice. And people who help put a pro-choice politician into office are directly responsible for every child killed by the actions of that politician. And like it or not, when pro-choice politicians get pro-life votes, what they hear us saying is we're not really serious. We're back. A few weeks ago, I spoke at an event here in Dallas with the African American community, and there was a pastor there who talked about a project that, and I never had met this guy, and he didn't even know I was there.
Right.
But he was talking about Alpha 21
Yes.
and how his church was using it. And I gave you the information on it. Why don't you tell us what he was doing?
Yeah, so they have started a 10 by 10 by 10, which is really cool. So they get a group of 10 people together that watch Alpha 21, and those 10 go out and they get a group of 10 together to watch it. And it's just kind of like a pyramid thing. And
Multi-level marketing.
and it's working. Like
Right.
they're actually doing it, and they take pictures, and they show the group together, and so we want to do that too. And we will not give them office, but give them for $1.50 for 10. Well, not for 10, but $1.50 a piece for the group of 10.
How many they need?
However many they need, exactly. And then they take a picture and send it to us with, holding them off or something,
Or just a group
something,
watching it, yeah.
Yeah, something neat. And so we can post that on social media. And then that group goes and does the same thing. They all just split off. So, yeah, that's the project that we're starting with Moff at 21. That would be fun to do and to see how big it grows.
Well, make sure people understand. You get a group of 10.
Yes.
You show them all the Moff at 21.
Right, you sit and you watch
Make sure
the
they're people who haven't
2
seen it
hours
before.
and
Yeah.
15
Or they
minutes.
could see it.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
And then you get them to commit to
Yes.
hold this thing just like that at their house or their church or wherever.
So each one of those original 10 get
Their own
Gets
10.
a free copy of Moff at 21.
Yeah.
And then they go out and do the same thing.
Yes.
And we'll support each level
Right.
as it goes up.
Yeah, absolutely. And Moffat 21 is growing still.
It's still amazing.
Yeah, it's evergreen. It
Right.
just doesn't get old. And it did have its 10-year anniversary in May,
Right.
and that's pretty cool. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we keep seeing the impact of it. I didn't, even though we're the ones that did it, I didn't realize how much impact it was having until I went to that meeting of all these black pro-life leaders.
Right.
Black, not all of them necessarily pro-life leaders. They're pastors and leaders of churches and various groups. And them, hearing them stand up there and say, this movie changed my life. And 2 different people said that. And then this guy stands up and says, oh, yeah, let me tell you what we're doing with Moffat. And he didn't even know, it was not like he was throwing me a bone or something. He didn't even
Right.
know that I was there. And it's really rewarding. But we are bringing blacks into the pro-life movement in numbers that the pro-life movement has never seen before.
And it's not just churches or individuals. College professors have
Right.
shown it in their classes.
Right.
Because it is not just a pro-life issue, but it's about eugenics and the history of
History.
abortion and genocide and,
Right.
known people who are part of this. So.
So anyway, let Renee know.
Yeah. Call me or send me an email or, as Mark would say, smoke message.
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in all this high-tech stuff.
Yeah, just private message me anyway or.
Smoke signal, carrier pigeon. The smoke signal and the carrier pigeon would usually be a little more efficient than email and text and all that garbage. But nonetheless,
Speaking of pigeons, there's 2 doves in my front flower bed that I've been enjoying. They apparently have a nest because they've been hanging around protecting that area.
are there any cats in your
I
neighborhood?
know it.
Yes.
I hope not.
I know. I've been trying to keep an eye out to make sure that
Remember
they're
our cardinals
okay.
at the other office?
Yeah, we had cardinals that got
Babies.
got attacked by cats.
Okay. Sorry.
And you're the crazy cat lady.
I know, but that makes me mad at them.
Yeah.
They shouldn't do that.
What are you up to? About 97 cats now?
I have a lot of cats.
Yeah.
I love my cats.
We got 9 or 10. So.
If you can identify, let me know. I need some supporters.
Yeah, but you do have the Crazy Cat Lady franchise for Ponder, don't you?
I don't know if I do or not.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's someone there that has more cats.
Yeah, let me know.
You have 9 or 10, right?
I have 9.
9 cats.
Yeah.
I might have some outside that I take care of too, but
Right.
aren't officially mine.
But they're there to eat your frogs.
No, they don't eat my frog. Yeah, speaking of frogs, we have a ton of frogs in our backyard. Like, I have to have a flashlight when I go look for my cats so I don't step on a frog.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah, there's a frog invasion here in North Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got millions of them.
love them.
I want to talk real quickly before we leave. The other day, there's this guy that, and I've had a few run-ins with him over the years, Lawrence Tribe. He's a law professor at Harvard University. He's a radical, hardcore leftist.
Doesn't
Surprise,
surprise-
surprise.
Yeah, surprise, at Harvard, the Little Red Schoolhouse.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a raging pro-abort. And now he's out here he is saying that the pro-life view is equivalent to white supremacy, that's why people get involved in pro-life.
Oh,
because
yeah.
of white
Oh,
supremacy.
yeah.
The
That's-
most ridiculous thing.
This ignores the fact. It totally ignores the
Yeah.
fact that, for example, in Ma'afa 21, we're out here telling people abortion is black genocide.
To get rid of
Margaret-
undesirables, quote,
Yeah.
quote.
Right.
Margaret Sanger there.
The Negro Project, getting rid of the black community. He just ignores that conveniently because that doesn't make his point.
Right.
And we also have lots of evidence, for example, of legitimate abortion, so it'll reduce the number of blacks. And let me tell you something. There has never been an organization. The Ku Klux Klan is wildly inefficient compared to Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Planned Parenthood, we did a study on this one time, or just analysis of it one time. Planned Parenthood kills more black people
Yes.
every 4 days
Yep.
than the Klan has killed in 150 years.
And plus,
4 days.
And plus, they target them by putting their facilities in minority neighborhoods.
Minority neighborhood.
I mean, that's not just a coincidence. That's a strategic move.
Yes.
Right. And let me tell you what I think that Tribe and some of his tribe are up to. Their goal, and we've seen this in other places, is to make stating the pro-life position hate speech.
Yeah.
That's what they're aiming toward. And he's basically saying that. You want to make the pro-life message hate speech because then you can do something about it in the law. Now, we recently had, and I think this is connected, a guy inside Google, Zachary Voorhees, comes out, and he's collected all this proof and data about how Google is censoring,
Yeah.
and we've seen it here, censoring the pro-life message. We've been shadow banned. We've had
Our numbers manipulated
our
on
numbers
YouTube.
manipulated. The other day, we had a deal you pointed out to me. Right after Life Talk, we went on real quick just to see how many views we got instantly, and went back 3 or 4 hours later, and it was about a fourth that many.
Yeah, well, it was the lowest in the morning, then it jumped up around lunch, and then later in the afternoon, the views had been diminished. And so,
And we noticed on we talked about the Babies Born Alive daily
Yes.
video.
Yeah.
You know, you and I were tracking that,
Yes.
and our views got up to about, if I remember, it was 976,000, something like that. We were closing in on a
Million. Yeah.
million views.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, it's 897,000,
Yeah. It's dropped
and it's
significantly.
been creeping back up.
Yeah.
But now it's been at like 950,000
Yeah.
for like a month without changing, and we know people are going to it.
Right.
We know for a fact they are.
yeah.
So they're manipulating things. This guy Voorhees said that he's got something like 1,100 documents or something. I can't remember what the number was, showing how
For
they,
over a year.
yeah, how they manipulate it. Well, guess what? Google did. They called the police on the guy and said that he was exhibiting evidence of mental derangement. The police came to Google. They got inside the gate, and Voorhees said they started banging on his door, and so the police decided that they were going to call in additional forces. They called in the FBI and a SWAT team, and eventually called in a bomb squad to go after this guy because he had expressed the view that Google was
That is so pathetic.
censoring. The San Francisco Police Department confirmed to Project Veritas, who was first exposed this deal, that they did receive a, quote, mental health call, unquote, and responded to Voorhees' address on that day. This is scary.
Yes.
Yeah, because if you don't agree with someone, then they're basically saying you're mentally deranged because they don't agree with you.
Well, a couple of years ago, it's been more like, it's probably been more 7 or 8 years ago now, there was a situation in Colorado where a woman was literally a peaceful pro-life protester. As I remember, she was Catholic and praying the rosary in front of an abortion clinic. They turned her into the authorities, saying that they were afraid of her because they thought she was mentally unstable. And they got a judge to issue a warrant. She was arrested, put in jail, and kept there for 3 days because they can hold you for 3 days on a mental health warrant, apparently. And then finally, another judge who overheard the case said, "This is outrageous." And I think if I'm remembering this correctly, he even advised this woman to sue
Good.
the abortion clinic.
Yeah.
I don't know whatever became of that.
I hope she did.
I hope she did
because-
too. But the reason I bring this up, and I bring it up in the context of this situation, the Lawrence tribe trying to get the pro-life position being classified as hate speech, because that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
He would lie through his teeth. I've seen him do it many times and deny that's true, but that's what they're doing.
Yeah, first they censored, and now they want to do. I mean, it makes sense. They want to do it as hate speech
Because they're losing.
Exactly.
They can't win if the information's out there. But let me tie this to another issue before we go. Because of the shootings in El Paso and in Ohio recently, now all of a sudden you're having people call for these so-called red flag laws.
Even Republicans,
Even
so-called
some
Second
Republicans.
Amendment
Yeah.
upholders.
Calling for this thing. And on the surface, it seems very reasonable. Okay, if you know somebody that's starting to act strange and they've got guns and they're saying things that you feel are unhealthy or whatever, turn them in, and the police can come out and confiscate their guns, despite the fact they've done nothing. They may be perfectly innocent, but you can confiscate their guns and maybe even lock them up until a mental health evaluation is done. They're calling it the red flag laws. This is extraordinarily dangerous because if you don't think the pro-aborts would use that against pro-lifers, you're dreaming.
That's right.
And people would take these red flag laws, not only in the abortion context of abortion, but in other left-wing politics. They would take these things and use them against people who've done absolutely nothing in order to deny them. In this case, you're going to deny somebody their constitutional Second Amendment rights, right? You're going to take those rights away because you're going to go confiscate their gun with no evidence that they've done anything, all right? But if you think that's the only constitutional right that they'd be interested in denying people, dream again.
Right.
The American left is a collection of godless,
Yes.
Marxist degenerates.
Right.
Well,
And this is the kind of thing that they would do.
it is important that we do prevent these shootings.
Absolutely.
But doing it by red flag laws is not the way, because it could be abused, and it's basically dystopian thought police that,
Well, like I said
the
on the show
novels they've talked
last
about.
week or week before, this whole thing about going after gun laws, and again, I'm not a gun nut. I don't own a gun. I've never owned a gun. I've never even shot a gun. Y'all have both shot guns. I guess I got to be afraid of both of y'all, which I am, by the way. But anyway,
Yeah, right.
I don't, so I'm not a gun nut. But anybody who thinks you're going to stop this garbage from going on by focusing on what's in people's hands rather than what's in their hearts,
Yeah.
you're nuts. You have completely lost your mind.
But
I can kill more people with my Dodge truck. I can go to Dallas right now. I bet I can kill 50 people before the day's
Or
over.
Denton Square.
Did
Just
Denton
people
Square.
walking.
Right.
and plus those that are going to harm, that's their intention, they're going to find a way no matter what.
That's what I'm saying. I can do it with my Dodge Ram truck.
Yeah.
You know, you can do it with poisons. You can do it. I mean, you just had a situation, was it in Kabul, where this wedding, 63 people were killed.
Oh, yes.
Not a gun was used.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
no, there was no guns.
Yeah.
So if you think you can stop people from committing these crimes by controlling what's in their hands rather than what's in their hearts, you're stark raving nuts. You'll never do it. Anyway, we got to be very wary of this stuff. And you hate to be paranoid, but when you hear these people starting to talk about pro-life message being hate speech or being white supremacist, and then you start seeing these other things, all you got to do is connect the dots and say, okay, here's where we could be headed, and that's where we are headed if we're not wary. Anyway, y'all got anything else?
I just want to, with the white supremacist stuff, the pro-life position is not white supremacy. The other side goes along with it. Go to our website, plannedparenthood.com. We get pro-aborts who call who are like, oh, we want to join the Klan, blah, 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 because of our website, plannedparenthood.com. I mean, they obviously know what it is.
Right.
But
You know what's interesting about that? I don't know if we've talked about this, but we're out of time. We need to go on. But I've noticed something. These pro-aborts that call in on about that Planned Parenthood website, they are hyper nasty to all the women in the office.
yes.
They are.
But if I answer the call or I get on it, all of a sudden all that nastiness kind of evaporates.
Yeah.
Profanity.
They
Think they're hurting our feelings too. It's crazy.
I like to mess with them.
I know, well, y'all don't
we
need
don't.
to hang up on them. But it is weird how these people that are such big champions for women are so much nastier to y'all than they are to me. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all the time we have. Until next Tuesday, remember, Life Dynamics is not here to put up a good fight. We're here to win, because winning is how this killing will stop. We'll see you next week.